to Western Pennsylvania. He took the coaching job. One of those connections,
I'm not
become a key contributor to the Panthers offense. Manasseh Garner played and went to high school at Brashear, just a few miles from Pitt's campus. But his road to Oakland took a detour through Wisconsin.
3 years. It's the difference between being an 18-year-old kid and a 21-year-old man. It's also enough time for life to come full circle. Back in 2010, Manasseh Garner was the 18-year-old kid. He could have stayed home at Pitt, but Garner felt a different need, the need to become his own man.
Being independent of my parents, not relying so much on my parents, just being able to experience, life outside of the city, life outside of, being underneath my parents and my parents having to, provide for me and this and that. My parents still provided for me, but I was able to do a lot of things on my own.
So Garner chose to find that independence at Wisconsin, where Paul Chryst was his offensive coordinator. A part of growing up's learning the business of college football. While Garner was at Wisconsin, it wasn't long before Chryst and much of the offensive staff were headed to Pittsburgh.
It was a big transition for me personally because, I had a personal relationship with these coaches and, just the fact that, the coaches that came in, a lot changed, but at the same time, I didn't fit in, I didn't feel like personally, I didn't fit into the scheme.
While Garner was adjusting to a new way of doing things at Wisconsin, it was hard to deny the pull of going home.
I always heard from my mom, even when I called her on the phone, she wanted her baby and her words to come back home, and she missed me. And, even now, she tells me to, come home as much as possible.
I believe it's a mom's thing. It's just instinctively to have your children close as much as possible, but ultimately still give them that space to make their own decision. So I did, but I was still praying that he would eventually, ultimately make the decision to come back.
Ultimately, we left that decision up to him. I mean, it was like, look, whatever you choose, we're behind you. But this is a good move if you do go ahead and take this. So.
Marcellus and Michelle Garner's message was heard. Their son followed Chris back to his hometown. Now, after sitting a year, it's Manasseh Garner's time. A 21-year-old man will run onto Heinz Field with his hometown team.
It'll be a lot more exciting for me for the simple fact that I'll have a lot more, close people that, I'm familiar with that I'll be playing in front of.
The home crowd, and I'm sure the adrenaline will be at its peak high at this game. And so there's no place like home.
Big night for the Garner family.